हेलो 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 हेलो। आज हम लोग गिटार बजाने वाले हैं। और सो द डील इज़, मुझे ओपन कॉर्ड्स आती है और फिर मैंने छोड़ दिया। और मेरी बहुत गंदी आदत है चीज़ों को छोड़ देने की, मतलब कोई भी स्किल को छोड़ देने का। मैंने सोचा अब डॉक्यूमेंट करना बहुत मुश्किल लगता है मुझे, से लिखते नहीं बनता। तो मैंने सोचा मैंने सोचा चलो स्ट्रीम करते हैं। बस यही, देखो तुम लोग भी सड़ो साथ में। हेलो, आ रही आवाज़? चलो बढ़िया। डिस्प्ले कैप्चर, ओके। इसके नीचे सबके सबके नीचे नहीं। हाँ भी ठीक है ना। चलो।
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons. Today I'm providing the beginner guitar players out there a proper introduction to bar chords. We're going to learn about how these chords relate to the open
कैसे कर लेते हैं लोग? मेरे को जो आता है मुझसे वो नहीं बजता ढंग से।
positions that we're already used to, and also the proper technique in executing them. Let's get started. Okay, a close look at the guitar neck, and we're getting started learning a basic major bar chord. The first thing that I want to mention is that all bar chords are based off of the open position chords that you already know. For example, E major. My middle finger is on the second fret of the A string, my third finger below that, second fret D string, and my first finger here on the first fret of the G string, nice and bent so I can allow the open strings below it to ring, is free up your first finger. So I'll change my finger positions. Now my ring finger is on the second fret of the A string, my pinky is below that on the second fret of the D string, and my middle finger is on the first fret of the G. I strum every string again, and I have E major. But now I'm in a position where I can easily just slide up one fret and drop my first finger across all of the strings on the first fret to create what is now called F major. Now I'm in a movable shape, meaning that I can take this chord and slide it up the neck to create every major chord in the book. Okay, so here we are in our F major position. And you might ask yourself, well, how do I know that that is an F major chord? Well, the answer to that question is whatever note you're playing on the sixth string or your low E, that is the root of the chord and therefore the name of the chord. So this is an F note found on that E string, and this is an F major chord. So if you know all the names of the notes on your E string, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, and then they all repeat themselves, you'll always know exactly what chord you're playing as you move across the neck and play these bar chord shapes. Okay, now that you know the basic mechanics behind building a bar chord, I'm going to invite you to meet me here on the 5th fret, which creates an A major chord. Again, I know that because my first finger is playing an A note on the 5th fret of the low E string, A major. You'll find that it sounds the same as the open position A major chord.
मैं अपनी स्ट्रीम कैसे करता हूँ यार? स्ट्रीम चल रही है ना? मैं अपनी स्ट्रीम कैसे खोलूँ? रुकना। मैं अपनी स्ट्रीम कैसे खोलूँ? रुको। चल रही है।
Know exactly what chord you're playing E, F, F sharp, G, G
नहीं
sharp,
बजा पा रहा हूँ मैं तो.
B flat, B fret to create what is now called F major. Now I'm in a movable shape, meaning that I can take this chord and slide it up the neck to create.
बढ़िया यार, सही कॉन्सेप्ट है. सही. अब इसको मैं चलो करते हैं.
Alright, so heading back over to our bar chord shape, our barred version of A major, let's talk about the hand position that goes into creating a perfect bar chord. The first thing that I want to mention is thumb placement is probably the most important thing. Where the thumb goes, the rest of the fingers will go, in particularly the index finger. So, I have my bar chord shape set up. My thumb is going to go all the way down to the bottom half of the neck, nice and low. And as I do that, my index finger is going to automatically straighten. In addition, I'm going to get nice arches on these other fingers here that are going to allow me to clear the strings, allowing each one to ring out nice and clear.
नहीं, वाइब्रेट कर रहा है ना, कुछ गड़बड़ हो रहा है. ये देखो ना, ये चूतिया. मुश्किल है. लगने लगी यार हाथ में, जैसे पहले लगती थी एकदम.
Taking a look at the back side of the neck, we can see where my thumb is. If it was to travel up, I get a lot of dead notes involved, no good. So, watch as the thumb comes down, you can see my hand kind of straighten up. Now I'm nice and flush with the index finger on the strings. The thumb is definitely past the 50% point of the neck, right here in the center.
50% पॉइंट के नीचे, ठीक है. अब अपन ये प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. 1 2 3 गो. बच गया. पिक नहीं गया, बस पिक खरीद के लाता हूँ मैं. 10 रुपये भी नहीं है साला पिक खरीदने के लिए. पिक ऐसे महंगी आने लगी आजकल. अपने दोस्तों को तो बताऊं कि नीचे हैंड कहाँ के नीचे, यहाँ के नीचे.
And I'm able to get a nice clean chord. A couple of other details that go into playing a perfect bar chord. I'm also using the strength of my arms to get a little extra pressure. This is especially useful when you start to feel yourself becoming slightly fatigued. So as I play that bar chord, thumb is still nice and low, the fingers are nice and arched, I'm on the tips of my fingers. I'm also pulling back and pushing my chest into the guitar just enough to get a little extra power. Okay, real quick I want to mention that nobody picks these chords up instantaneously. This is one of those things that just requires a lot of practice and a ton of patience. But as you get a little bit better with it, I want you to compare the bar chord shapes with the open position shapes of the same name. For example, this A major chord that we've been working on should sound very similar to the open position A major chord. Now they do have a slightly different sound. This is what we call voicings on the guitar. All right, just like that, we can compare those two chords and try to move the chord around from fret to fret and establish what key we're actually playing in. So if this is my A chord, if I bring it up a whole step, I have a B major chord. My D major chord on the 10th fret, try that out. And I can go to the 3rd fret to create a very common G major chord, which also sounds almost exactly like my open position G. Okay, so all of your open position chords can be used to create bar chord shapes. We just did it with our E major chord by switching our finger positions up, freeing up the first finger, and dragging up the neck to create every major chord in the book. Let's try to do that same exact process, but now with our A major chord shape. Now the way I play my A major chord, my middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the D string, my 3rd finger is below that on the 2nd fret of the G string, and my pinky is below that on the B string 2nd fret. I'm on the tip of my fingers are nice and bent, and I can strum. From the A string down, this is A.
तो ये सब अपने को आता है. ओपन कॉर्ड्स आती हैं, बेसिक स्ट्रमिंग आती है. अपने को डिसेंट आता है और अपने को बेटर बनना है. इफ दैट मेक्स एनी सेंस. ठीक है, तो ये आता है, ये आता है, ये आता है. छाती पे भी तो लगाना है. ये माइनर होती है ना, 2 एक उंगली हटा लो तो थोड़ा बहुत आता है. मतलब ऐसे मैंने भी पहले कोशिश करी है, बस वो पेशेंस मैंने सोचा कि ऑन स्ट्रीम करेंगे अपन. कितने मिनट की हो गई ये भी देखें, तो बहुत बिल्कुल टाइम ही हुआ है. बीट भी जो दुखने लगी. हाय भगवान, चलो उसकी सुनते हैं.
A typical A major open position chord. The first finger is already free. If you were playing your A major chord with the first finger on top, you would have to change your position. So now that we have this A chord set up, all we need to do to create every major chord in the book is just slide it up 1 fret and drop the first finger down. Repeat the same process that we had for that E major rooted bar chord, right? So now my thumb's nice and low, fingers are straight, and I'm creating my A rooted major chords. And I can literally do this with every type of open position chord, major or minor, dominant 7th, doesn't matter what it is, to create a whole bunch of really useful bar chord shapes. Okay, so now we have 2 types of major bar chords to practice over the course of the week. Those that are rooted off of the E string, like this A major chord shown here on the 5th fret, and then those that are based off of the A major chord and rooted on the A string. This is the 5th fret of the A string, that's a D note, so then this is a D major chord. I should also point out that this is pretty much the same thing as using our capo. If I grab a capo and put it here on the 5th fret, I can play my E major and A major chord. You can see the bar chord shape now. If I put my first finger over top of the capo, I'm basically making a bar chord. Might be useful for your practice. Okay, so this week we're going to practice through our basic major bar chord shapes. Again, the thumb is low, my fingers are nice and arched here on the tips of the fingers, and I'm pulling back with my arms, pushing my chest into the guitar just enough to get a little extra pressure, not excessive at all, to master so many different chord progressions and so many different tunes that were otherwise inaccessible before learning these bar chord shapes. Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this beginner-friendly lesson on bar chords. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it useful. I got plenty more videos coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe and please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia saying happy picking.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you 5 ways to make your bar chords a heck of a lot.
Sorry, सुना ही नहीं मैंने उसकी.
Easier and
लो आता नहीं है मेरे को स्ट्रीमिंग करना यार. Let's go. लाइक तो कर दूं मैं खुद का स्ट्रीम. चलो इसकी भी सुन लेते हैं. Yes, 5 ways to take the pain out of bar.
Less painful.
Yes.
And number 5's a really, really good one, so you're probably going to want to stick around for the whole video.
Okay, brother.
So first off, I want to demonstrate to you. I'm going to make a quick bar chord. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to put it out here. As you can hear, I can play a bar chord without squeezing and hurting my hand. And this is something that does take a little bit of practice, but you want to be able to approach it right so that you don't end up with that sore hand and end up quitting guitar, because that's a great way to end up not being able to play. So first off, number 1. You need to be on the side of your bar finger and your finger tips. You don't play on the flats of your fingers, especially for bar chords. And the side of your finger has less surface area, which means that the pressure is going to be more concentrated. So you have an equal amount of pressure, but it's on a smaller amount of surface area. Therefore, it's more concentrated. Also, it's a little harder and bonier, whereas the flat of your finger is soft. Number 2, not 1, 2. It's a little early here. Number 2, the placement of your fingers needs to be right next to the frets, as well as you need to examine which strings actually need the bar. So this is my basic major bar chord shape, right? And I actually only need to bar 3 strings for this shape, because these fingers are taking care of the other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this big old fat knuckle here on the lower 3 strings, right smack dab in the middle. That way it pokes into them. And then it's easy enough to just kind of curl my index so that I get a nice... Okay, number 3. Now this one is supported by 4 and 5, so don't skip 4 and 5 with this one. So a lot of people will teach you that bar chords are squeezing with the index. Not so. Not so. You actually need to have your thumb, if you're imagining like the horns, right? If you're doing a bar chord, the thumb really needs to be in the middle of the bar. The reason being, if you squeeze on your index, you are going to take pressure away from these fingers and then end up having to squeeze more, and then you end up squeezing down and choking your chord. And if you do get all the strings to sound, it's going to sound like garbage, and it's going to be probably out of tune because you're squeezing so hard that you're bending the string. So what you need to do is have an even amount of pressure on all of your fingers. So that brings me to number 4, which really drives this one home. Instead of squeezing for your bar chord, which is what almost everybody does when they first start trying, and even some experienced players still do this, and they're worse off for it. So you need to pull with your arm. Right? If you pull with your arm, you'll be getting your finger pressure from a bigger muscle. And also, you're going to be pulling evenly into each finger so that the finger pressure is even across the frets. And it's going to give you a much better sounding bar chord, a much less painful bar chord, and you're not going to be squeezing. Number 5. This one, I kind of want to take credit for figuring this one out because nobody ever showed this to me. And I've taken probably 40 to 50 grand in guitar and music lessons, as well as going to college for music and everything. So I'm pretty proud of this one. This one complements number 4. You can take this arm and actually push your fretboard into your fingers. So if you pull and push very slightly, no squeezing needed. Also very even into your, take this arm and actually push your fretboard into your fingers. So if you pull and push very slightly, no squeezing needed.
ये अपन ने पुल किया, इधर से ये अपन ने पुल किया, इधर से पुश किया. ऐसे बजाओ तो सही बजता है ना, पर ये साला एक एक वो नहीं बजता है. चलो अपन बार कॉर्ड्स प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. 2 वीडियोस अपने देख लिए हैं, ठीक है. 3 एक और चलो देख लेते हैं अकूस्टिक लाइफ का भी.
Bar chords are notorious for being hard, but they don't.
और क्या, कोई वॉचिंग, मेरी वॉचिंग है और मेरे को ही आ रही है. सब्सक्राइब भी कर लो जो. एरर आ गया. अच्छा, अपना चैनल खुद से नहीं सब्सक्राइब कर सकते मतलब.
Don't have to be. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 secrets that I like to use to make bar chords buzz-free, clean, and consistent. And at the end, I'm going to share with you a little bonus to show you how you can make any chord on the guitar neck with one bar chord shape. All that right after this. This acoustic guitar quick win is brought to you by Tony'sAcousticChallenge.com. I'm Tony Policastro from Tony'sAcousticChallenge.com, where we're all about expanding our quality of life through music and having as much fun as possible with our guitars. And now one surprising way to have as much fun as possible with your guitar is refining your bar chords. I'm going to use the F chord, the dreaded full F chord, and that has your index finger laying across the 1st fret from the low E to the high E, your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, pinky finger on the 3rd fret of the D, and your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G. Fretting all of those strings, that's a bar chord. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But it definitely involves some strength. So let me share with you my first tip. Oftentimes with bar chords, the high strings start to sound kind of like that. And you think, gosh, well, I'm pressing so hard with my index finger, why can't I fret these strings? It's driving me crazy. Well, oftentimes when trying to do bar chords, you approach it with a flat index finger, using kind of the, we'll call it the meaty part of your index finger. I don't want you to actually fret with that part. I want you to rotate your finger to the outside, to the bony part of your index finger. This is going to give you a harder fretting surface and better contact with the strings, hence allowing you to make those higher strings ring nice and clear. The second thing I want to share with you is something that's a little bit, well, it's just not so obvious. Actually, you're going to use your picking hand, more specifically your picking arm, to make your bar chords cleaner. here's how you do it. So bar chords, again, involve a lot of strength. And really, truly, our left hand only has so much strength to give. And if you do bar chords for a long time, it gets fatigued rather quickly. But it's not all up to your fretting hand. You might be one of those players that just struggles with getting consistent bar chords because of the strength factor. And what you can do is take your picking hand, again, more specifically your arm, and where your arm comes over the guitar, use it to kind of push on your guitar. You see, if I kind of pull in tight here with my picking hand arm, it's pushing the guitar neck forward. Well, that's the kind of action you want. You want to push with your picking hand and pull with your fretting hand. This is going to give you a really solid feel on your fretting hand and ultimately better contact with the entire bar chord and a much cleaner execution of the bar chord.
मतलब already sounds a little better. अपने को बस ये लास्ट के 2-3 मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है कि मेरा ना गिटार थोड़ा सा बेंड हो गया है क्योंकि इट्स हार्डर टू यू नो ये सब करना आसान है बट हल्का सा शायद बेंड हो गया है तो अपन कल मिलेंगे इसके बारे में ठीक है नहीं चलो थोड़ी देर और करते हैं कोशिश विल ट्राई टू प्ले अ फुल सॉन्ग ठीक है ए माइनर जी एफ जी विल बी गुलाबी आंखें ठीक है किसी को नहीं पता है तो सीख लो ये गाना किसी भी शादी पार्टी छोटे से लेके बड़ी पार्टी कहीं पे भी बजाओगे ताली मिलेगी और बस सब खुश हो जाएंगे आसपास तो एकदम वो ऐड देखे हैं ना ऐसे कि लड़का स्प्रे लगा लेता है और पूरी जनता पागल वही सेम जो तेरी देखी शराबी है दिल हो गया संभालो मुझको ओ मेरा नहीं बज रहा यार कुछ गिटार में गड़बड़ है कल मिलते चलो हो गया आधे घंटे की स्ट्रीम फर्स्ट डे के लिए बहुत है अभी थोड़ा मेरे को भी सीखना पड़ेगा ना अभी मैं पहली बार कैमरा की तरफ देख के पता नहीं किससे बात कर रहा हूँ आउट इनटू द वॉइड तो दैट इज़ अ बिग स्टेप बाकी कोई आया नहीं तो थैंक यू भी किसी को नहीं चलो बाय गोइंग बाय एंडिंग स्ट्रीम थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिस करके आऊँगा कल थोड़ा सा बेटर रहेंगे अपन इस चीज़ में देखेंगे क्या होता है